of NABARD now. His heart has been in rural banking because he served 2 terms as chairman of one of the prominent regional rural banks in the south of India. He has been part of many committees, and more recently, he has contributed to, evolution of social stock exchange in India. He has been a part of a committee that looked into how we can finance value chains, particularly agri-value chains in India. And he is actually also a part, he's heading a working group, which is looking into how efficiently we can structure the cooperative banking system in India, which is very age-old but very vibrant banking system. But what reforms can be brought into the structure of cooperative banking in India? And of course, on his hand is extremely important project in India, which looks forward to computerizing about 100,000 rural cooperatives, cooperative societies in India. That's dream project of Government of India, and of course, from NABARD, he's heading that. He's a lover of technology. Besides being a career banker, and now heading Apex institution like NABARD, he loves technology and wants to infuse technology into everything because he knows the power of technology. And rural sectors badly need that. Our banking sector needs that. So thank you so much for joining us. Of course, Anukampa told about our association, Birds Association with APRACA, through our center called APRACA Center of Excellence, which is situated in Bird and of course funded by NABARD, our promoter. And it is indeed taking shape apart from a few programs, collaborative programs that we always hold with APRACA, with APRACA member countries coming into India. So we host that. Besides that, we have really started evolving new activities over the last 2 years, and we have started half-yearly publication, which is centering around issues of APRACA and of course NABARD. We already brought out 2 issues on this, and one was focusing on group lending, around which our center actually started revolving when it started operation. But now we are graduating more into more contemporary issues. And the second issue was on aggregation strategies in agriculture. The third issue is almost ready to be rolled out, and that would be on value chain financing. And I'm sure all these 3 topics are of extreme relevance in our Asia Pacific region. We also did, last year, we did another webinar, and that was centering around the agri startups in Asia Pacific. And it indeed got extremely good support and participation. Well, it is my honor to welcome the other very eminent panelists who are contributing their thoughts today. And while they will be mentioned in detail when the panel discussion comes up, but I would name them and welcome them personally. Ms. Priyanka P. She is Mission Director, National Urban Livelihood Mission, Tamil Nadu, and she is also doubling as ED of Tamil Nadu Women's Development Corporation. Ms. Dr. Manjunath, he is ED of SKDRDP, which has done a pioneering work in rural training and rural banking. Mr. Satyaranjan, Dr. Satyaranjan Acharya, who is from EDII, a very prominent entrepreneurship development institute of India. We have Mr. Pawan Agrawal, who is Joint Export Commissioner of UP, and Uttar Pradesh is known to be a state where one district, one product, which is the micro enterprise promotion strategy of pioneered in UP and now being adopted all over the country. And he's heading the export group of that initiative. I welcome Ms. Lasira, who is MD at APRACA Sintrap. Mr. Vichai Paksa, Senior VP of BAC Thailand, which is a worldwide known agriculture focus Bank. Mr. Siddhartha Sanyal is Chief Economist at Bandhan Bank. Bandhan Bank itself is a story of how microfinance and micro enterprises can graduate up to a national bank which cannot be ignored, national level bank, commercial bank, which is a formidable force now. And of course, in commercial banking canvas, I personally believe that Bandhan Bank, represents the sector of micro enterprises and microfinance and microcredit. Uh, Ms. Jayashree Vyas, she's MD of Seva Bank. Seva Bank is another great story from India, which completely focuses on women-led microfinance. And when we say women-led microfinance, it is always backed by microcredit. Micro enterprises, it is always backed by microcredit and microfinance sector. So, and to really funnel the thoughts of all these sector leaders and actors, we have two eminent persons from NABARD. I welcome Mr. Debashish Padi, who is heading our initiative in off-farm sector. NABARD stands for lot to do with agriculture development, but we also have rural development as our mandate, and we cannot ignore the other half, and that is non-agri enterprises in India. So he's heading all our initiatives, and some brilliant initiatives have been taken during the last about 3-4 years. He would be, of course, bringing that experience when he shares the session. And of course, the mother of microfinance in India is SAG Bank Linkage Program in India, which happens to be one of the biggest social financial engineering experiment and very successful, success story across the world. And currently, it is being led by Ms. Li Wang, who is CGM at our microcredit department at head office of NABARD. Of course, I warmly welcome all the participants who are logged in. About more than 100 participants have already logged in. I'm sure in next 5 minutes, another 100 would join. The officials at APRACA, officials from all the partner institutions across Asia Pacific region. We have a lot more logins coming in from NABARD and BERT. And I also thank Mr. Prasoon Das, who has been a friend and partner in whatever S Center at BERT does for Asia Pacific region. Of course, because there are many panelists lined up, and I don't want to really repeat, but we firmly believe, of course, in Indian government has a very definite understanding and belief that India has recently, taken fourth position as fourth largest economy in the globe. We have displaced, fifth position, and we recently displaced UK. Next in the line is Germany, who stands fourth. And of course, as we graduate, that would be the target. But then the next growth, or if we have to assume really first, second, or third position in the global economy, I think the next growth is going to come from, an untapped potential that exists in India. That is 1.4 billion people, and around 65% of which are actually thriving on rural economy, which also comprises, agriculture and micro enterprises. These are basically unorganized and decentralized sector right now. But we know what is the potential that exists, what economic potential that exists in India. And therefore, not just the central government, but everyone, all institutions, all stakeholders in the country are trying their best to put their act together and orchestrate an ecosystem which would enable tapping the potential of this sector. And of course, we have many issues on hand to deal with this sector when we deal with micro enterprises, which is of very small scale and technology, quality, standards, capital, market imperfections, infrastructural inadequacies. risks that are not covered, the skill gaps that are there between market and what they can produce, and of course, a lot other capacity building that is required to be built in there. And to be very fair with the government and all institutions, I think all right policies are already either in place or being put in place. And many wonderful initiatives which Government of India has already started. NABARD has been a constant partner in this journey for taking the micro enterprises forward. So, and I believe similar experiences are therein across countries across Asia Pacific region, and many regional governments are doing their best to help them, and of course to harness their potential. In between, we have numerous examples of institutions. I named a few from India, and there are many more which cannot be named in a short time. But there are regional success stories and great examples of social entrepreneurship which have taken micro enterprises to the market mainstream. And that really emboldens our belief that they can contribute to mainstream economy. And next, $1 billion are to Indian economy are to come from these small enterprises. In fact, without infusing many resources into this sector, they already employ 110 million people in India. They contribute 30% to our GDP and 49% of exports. And yet the reforms, the technology, the resources, and the best of market linkages or supply chains are yet to come to them and tap their potential. I think we have many eminent speakers. I just wanted to give background, but very nuts and bolts and their own perspective and their vision would be shared by them. With this, I close. Once again, thank all of you and esteemed panelists and Chairman NABARD and the participants on this forum. And I request Anukampa to take the rights. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot, sir, for setting the tone for this webinar. Now we move on to getting delivery of opening remarks from Dr. Prasoon Kumar Das, Secretary General, APRACA. So before we start, let me introduce him. I mean, he has got illustrious career till now. He is currently leading Asia Pacific Rural and Agriculture Credit Association, which is APRACA, as its Secretary General, based out at Bangkok, Thailand. But presently he is in Dhaka on an official engagement and he has taken his time out for this. Prior to this assignment at APRACA, he was project manager at IFAD, then rural finance specialist in FAO. And there are a list of international organizations where he has been, with which he has been associated with. He worked as member of international project design team for IFAD, FAO, World Bank, etc., and also led member of multi-country donor-funded short-term studies, projects, etc. Before delving into that, he was a banker with the commercial bank in India, and he holds a doctoral degree in agriculture sciences, MBA with specialization in financial management, and he's certified professional in banking and finance. So over to you, sir. Prasoon, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Anukampa, for your illustrious. This is a very warm welcome to all of you for these dignitaries who joined this webinar at the outset. I, on behalf of APRACA member institutions across the 24 countries, I would like to congratulate Mr. Saji KV for taking over the chairmanship of NABARD and also concurrently the chairmanship of APRACA. So it's a privilege for me and my team in the Secretariat to welcome you in person sometime when you will be able to join us in any of our programs. We all know that NABARD is a systemically an important institutions, and the stories of NABARD growth is being used as a case studies for many of us. For many of the countries, they follow NABARD, they follow the model, business model of NABARD, the development story of NABARD, the journey of NABARD. So NABARD is a very important, systemically important institutions for APRACA, for all other institutions in this region. So being it is not only in India, we have to also think about NABARD, NABARD influencing other countries across this region. The development work being done by NABARD is as a great institutions and being being taught by APRACA whenever we are going for any of our training program to other countries. So I would like also to, I can't see Mr. PVS Surya Kumar, but I would like to congratulate him and welcome him for this program, who is the Deputy Managing Director of NABARD. Mr. Sankar Pandey, my friend, who is also instrumental in organizing and putting together all these dotted lines for organizing this program, and I can see there are more than 250 participants in this webinar, which is a huge appreciation for BARD and also the APRACA Center of Excellence. I would also like to congratulate Anukampa for her devoted time and throughout, and I am always being disturbed by her any point of time for asking many questions, which I'm sure that I could not able to answer all of them. It's also a great privilege to welcome all the great panelists here. Mr. Devashish Pari, he joined in one or two of our program before. Dr. Manjunath, Dr. Satyaranjan Acharya, Mr. Pawan Agarwal, Ms. Priyanka, Ms. Lasira, Vihuarech, Ms. Leving, Mr. Vijay Paksa, Mr. Siddharth Sanyal, Madam Jayashree Vas, Mr. Somphon, who is also coming from Lao DDR and heading one of the very important microfinance institutions in Laos, is also here. They will be sharing their experiences and on the ground experiences basically. So that will be very interesting for all of us to listen to their points. I'm also extremely happy to see large number of participants from India and all across. Like you can see our member institutions from China, from Thailand, Indonesia, and also from Malaysia. So all of them joined this program. At the same time, I must congratulate APRACA Center of Excellence for choosing a very important topic at this point of time, because the financial sector, not only in India, but all across the region, are basically in a crossroads. So they are a little bit confused that which one will be more priority, whether it is the priority to reach out to the people, or to take care of the climate change, or to address the gender issues. So I think this is a very important to skilling and financing the supportive strategies for which will be kind of outlook for a long-term and medium-term outlook of this financial sector. I'm sure that this webinar will bring some of the action points for of all of us to take care and walk the talk for the next few months or couple of years to see that where we can land ourselves. And I'm sure that Sankar Pandey has already talked about the whole program. I don't want to repeat all those things. I would like to rest myself here and want to listen to our extremely important and panelist. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Prasun. As I need to intervene because on two notes, like as Chairman Sir is set to speak next, I think we are already clocking 240 of audiences logged in. So I think that's a great number. And just another notice that Mr. Surya Kumar could not join because he got busy with some urgent government call. So he has to really fight on that front. So he couldn't join. He just told me that he needs to be excused. So thank you. Anukampa, next.
So thanks a lot, Prasoon sir, for giving this opening remark. And yes, member institutions from member countries of Africa have also joined. Thanks to you also for that. And now I invite our chairman, sir, Shri Saji KV, for delivering keynote address. Sir.
Yeah, so good morning to all of you from India and from NABARD and also NABARD Africa Center for Excellence at BIRD Lucknow. In fact, it is my privilege to be in part of this webinar. In fact, it is the first of my outside engagements after taking charge as Chairman NABARD. So special thanks to Dr. Prasun Kumar Das, Secretary General APRACA, for gracing the occasion, and also all of the participants from the member countries as well as from other institutions. Today's this seminar or rather webinar is very significant on two counts. One is that the India, as you all know, has assumed the presidency of G20, and the motto of India's G20 presidency is "One Earth, One Family, and One Future." So India believes in its the motto of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that world is one, and also we have to, as mankind, we have to thrive and progress together. Second is that as we come out of the pandemic-induced problems, and we are now almost back to normalcy. In that case, during the pandemic, a lot of micro enterprises got disseminated. So it is very important that we need to help them in finding their feet and also be a part of the developments and the growth in every country. So in that count, the theme of the webinar, that is skilling, financing, and supportive strategies for microcredit-led enterprises. This theme is very current, and as we all know, microcredit or micro enterprises, which is depending on the microcredit. The micro enterprises mostly they thrive in informal economy. World over, it is so, and more so in the case of least developed or emerging economies. And being an informal economy, skill gaps are the greatest because that is one of the hallmarks of informal economy, because they may not be able to access various facilities for gaining the skills and also credit and others supportive environment. And this results, the informality of the sector, it results in a vicious circle of low productivity, low income, and low investment in skills. So the improving the skills of informal economy is very important, and considering the importance of micro enterprises to any country's economy, even in the developed countries also micro enterprises contribute a lot, but more so in the case of developing countries, middle and low income countries, that the largest share of private sector enterprises are accounted by micro and small enterprises, and these contribute to the bulk of the employment. So the employment-led growth has to be there. If it has to be there, then micro enterprises need to be supported in a large way. The employment figures in respect of low-income countries in micro enterprises, it's almost 90% of the total employment will be coming from micro and small enterprises. And in South Asia, particularly where we are focused, approximately 65% of the total employment is self-employment when compared to the developed countries in the Europe, where it is around 10%. And in Central Asia also, it is roughly around that. So in terms of informality, approximately 62% of the total employment is found in the informal sector globally. And the data indicates that small economic units, and in particular, self-employed and micro enterprises, are by far the most important drivers of employment. And if such enterprises have access to finance, then adoption of better skills, implementation of innovation activities, and determination to improve their competition and market share, that will be there, and that will increase their market significant growth, and these will graduate into larger enterprises. So access to finance is one important thing. So for accessing finance, the entrepreneurs and also the workers should have adequate skills, knowledge, and then they should come to some sort of a formality in terms of their activities. So in that case, no, the access to finance will be there, but then the starting point will be that no microcredit should be there for such enterprises to graduate to larger enterprises and also to formal sectors. When you see the modern business environment where it is globally connected, there is competition, technologies is induced in large way, and there is innovation. In fact, innovation is the next driver of growth, especially for least developed countries, where innovation has to be there for faster development and faster employment generation as well. So for this, the micro enterprises need to find and implement strategies that enable them to face the existing challenges and also the emerging challenges as well. So the relevant skills are very important for micro enterprises, the timely finance and the strategies, including government interventions, systemic reorganization, digital transformation are required. And these have to be imbibed in a faster rate for such enterprises to grow up. So globally, if you see that the preponderance of micro enterprises may lead to, if at all, if they are not quality conscious, may lead to destruction of whatever profits are available, because there will be some existing enterprises who will be vending some quality products at a reasonable price. But when the challenges come in with a lot of micro enterprises coming in and challenging the same product, the value destruction will happen, and that may lead to greater greater indebtedness and then destruction of the growth as well. So we need to be mindful as we promote more of micro enterprises. These micro enterprises need to be promoted in an orchestrated manner with a definite plan. Otherwise, by themselves, micro enterprises may not be able to find niche unless they are very skilled and technology enabled. So policymakers across countries have begun to realize all these factors, and we are making concerted efforts for creating favorable enabling environment. And this webinar may be one of the steps of creating an enabling environment for micro enterprises to thrive. So skill development initiatives can help micro enterprises become more competitive, understandably, because even though they may have acumen for business, skills for doing the business are very important, and and then they'll become more competitive and then increase their employability and also their productivity, and all these things will contribute to structural changes and also economic growth of the area in which they are operating. So world over, if you see, demand for job specific skills has been growing, and if you know some sort of surveys have opined that quality and supply of skilled labor are major roadblocks to their growth. Across Asia Pacific, if you see, skill development is a common concern. In India, for example, government launched sweeping reforms targeting skill training for 400 million workers by 2022. The support available for skill development in MSc sector includes in India assistance provided to national level training institutions, and also capital grant for purpose of creation and strengthening of infrastructure and support for entrepreneurship development and skilling. Financing part, yes, we in NABARD also are alive to the fact that the micro enterprises, especially in the rural sector, are not getting adequate finance. In that count, we are now in the process of uh, enabling many micro enterprises to come together as we as we graduate from group lending based to individual based micro enterprises. We are now mindful of the fact that the value destruction should not happen, and for that, the group approach for micro enterprises also we are thinking of as an approach to have an orchestrated development of that area. In that count, what we are trying to do is that India is having a lot of cooperative institutions, close to 10 million of such credit institutions are there, cooperative credit institutions are there, which we are now targeting into transforming into micro enterprises. Actually, they are now concentrated on rural credit. We want to expand their scope by including activities which are essentially micro enterprises, and these entities being member oriented. So what we want is that the participative capitalism of such an approach should be encouraged further rather than the remote capitalism where the private sector coming in and investing and passively depending on some enterprises to develop to generate profit for them and then take away the profit from that area. Unlike that, in the cooperative system, there is a participative capitalism where the members themselves do the activity and also contribute to the shareholding. And as a result, whatever value is generated through those activities can be distributed among the members of that particular area. And that in turn will act as a catalyst for further growth. So in that count, we are now enabling almost 10 million of such credit societies to transform into multi-purpose societies. And also we are encouraging more than 20 million such institutions to come up in all over the country. So it is a massive thing. Right now, around 120 million people are engaged in such activities, which will be close to 1/3 of India's population. So we are mindful of the fact that once we reinvigorate these entities, there will be qualitative improvement, and then there will be orchestrated development. Then, apart from that, the agri-value chain approach, where as you all know, because of the global commodity price surge, there is now renewed interest in agriculture in India, where the Indian commodities, the agri commodities particularly, are being largely exported, and as a result, value creation is there in the agri sector, and more youth is getting into the agri sector. In that way, the value chain approach. In fact, if you see the inflation, which is one of the most important concerns world over, Indian inflation, if you see, almost 45% of that is due to the inflation in the agri commodities. And that too, the inefficient value chain is creating such an inflation where the smoothing of the movement of agri commodities from the production centers to the consumption centers is not there. So by improving the agri value chain activities, and also through that, lot of micro enterprises, farmer led enterprises can come in, because in India, more of the small and marginal farmers are there. Almost 80% of the farmers are small and marginal farmers, of which the agri business, the agriculture now, which is some sort of a sustenance way, it has to transform into agri business. If that has to happen, at the farm gate itself, a lot of agro-based micro enterprises need to be there for creating value for the producers. In fact, including the for storage and then packing, grading, and also value addition. So there is immense scope for that, and by that we want to wean away majority of the farmers, the small and marginal farmers, from agriculture to agro industries and micro enterprises. With that, the productivity of agriculture will improve, and also the value addition to the economy also will be improved multifold. So our endeavor will be to skill the farmers or the rural people to take up take up such micro enterprises which are relevant to the area, because India, if you see, it is a vast country, and across country various agroclimatic zones are there. Each agri value chain will be area specific, cross specific, and also the particularity of the area will demand that the permutations of combination of the area, that is the geography, and also agroclimatic and the crop. So numerous numerous value chains can be there, and we are mindful of that. And Indian government also is supporting that. The FPO, the farmer producer movement, farmer producer organization movement, by aggregating farmer, and we want to also parallelly set up these FPOs as as competitive institutions at the rural areas, because we want not a monopoly to come in, or we want competition to be there in the rural sector, including for rural finance, so that the customers, the farmers, the rural people will be getting the best of the services and also at the least cost. And we are in NABARD, we are mindful that not only finance, we need the finance in the form of debt, and also through capital, that is venture capital. So we have set up one venture capital fund, and also we are in the process of setting another blended capital fund for supporting small innovations in the rural areas. And also we have set up a lot of agribusiness incubation centers across the country. So a combination of venture capital, debt capital, and then different forms of permutations of these convertible, a lot of innovative products can be there. And then there is a capital fund also getting set up in NABARD, and through the subsidiaries of NABARD, we are now reaching out to the small entities, not only for debt capital, but also for their equity capital as well. And then we are also in talks with the government to have a credit guarantee product for startups and also for the cooperatives. Cooperatives are essentially, we will treat it as micro enterprises, not as credit institutions. So a credit guarantee product, so that they can enable, they can be accessing finance from multiple sources. Because once this the computerization program which we are endeavoring, once it is in place, a lot of transparency will be there, and the lending institutions will have more visibility of their activities, and as a result, the information asymmetry which is there between these institutions and the lending institutions will be bridged, and along with that, what we intend to a credit guarantee also to be provided, so that the lending institutions will have more comfort to lend to those institutions, and as a result, the access to finance will be a catalyst for improvement in the quality, productivity, and also the income of the rural areas. The rural urban divide, which is happening in many of the developing countries in terms of development and also in terms of per capita income, need to be bridged as early as possible. And we should now provide employment to rural people at their place of domicile itself. And that should be there. And that employment should be a gainful one, will be a value additive one, and not a value destructive one, or not just for numbers. And that is what we are trying to do it in India. As most of the developing countries are now poised for a faster growth, we need to ensure that this growth will be equitable as well. So every section of the society should get benefit of this growth, and for that, there should be some positive involvement by the policymakers, and also by the institutions like NABARD and APRACA, and such interregional corporations also should be there, active, to share the experiences across the countries. Because as I told in the beginning, the India's motto, as we assume G20 presidency, is one earth, one family, and one future. We have a shared future to go. We don't believe that only one or two countries to develop and other countries can remain as such. No, India, it should be among those countries which take all the countries in its path to growth. And it is our earnest attempt that through this program, and also many programs to come through APRACA and such similar organizations, we will be sharing and discussing knowledge and research ideas with policymakers, professionals, academicians, and researchers, and thereby enabling or rather catalyzing our activities in the growth or march towards progress. And it should be a shared progress, shared growth, and we should be, as mankind together, we should grow fast. so that the poverty and also the inequality in the society is minimized. I thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this, and it is my being my first meeting as after taking charge as NABARD chairman. I thank the APRECA also because NABARD is the chair of the APRECA, and we look forward to more such associations, more such meaningful activities in future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot, sir, for underlining the importance of capacity building as also availability of finance for enhancing the scope